AZUBU versus StarTale.
Welcome to the GSTL playoffs. They start here. An entire season of hard work has gotten these teams and these players where they are now. We're going to find out who falls out first. I am Wolf, and as always with me is Kaldar.
We are going to have a very good day here, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be a great match, our first match in the playoffs. We have StarTale versus AZUBU, and of course this time we have the best of 9 format. We are in the playoffs now, and this means that we change the format a little bit. We go from a best of 7 all the way to a best of 9.
Today it's all about winning. There's no longer any worries about indicators or what the points are. It's just about defeating your opponent and moving on to the next round.
Yeah, StarTale already gathered up in the backstage area, and they were talking a little bit earlier. They seem very confident today. In the regular season they didn't do too well against AZUBU. Here we have a couple of the AZUBU players currently on screen. Symbol, of course, yesterday really successful in his match at WCS Premier League.
Yeah, Bomber having a great day yesterday. Got to be feeling pumped up about that. Probably motivating the team a little bit as well.
Yeah, Bomber not only won his games against Flash with a quick TO, but also he won his next matches in the RSL, advanced to the round of 8 now, a little bit later in an online tournament. So that was actually a really successful day for him. He was really happy about his performance, especially since earlier that day he got a news that he didn't like too much, because he suddenly realized that the patch would not apply to his games just yet, and apparently he prepared a lot of his builds for the new patch, but as it turns out, the builds that he chose against Flash were the correct ones.
Exactly, turns out that way, and you know, Flash probably might have even gotten mind-gamed a little bit by his Twitter posts, who knows. But really good play there from Bomber. Here's our schedule. StarTale will face against AZUBU. The winner of this plays against LGIM. The winner of that match plays Axum Acer, and the winner of that will go to the finals against MVP.
This is going to be a really cool game. We have 2 additional maps, as you can see. Derelict Watcher is one of them, and DF Atlas. This is, of course, an adjustment that we have to make because we are having a best of 9 now instead of a best of 7. Yeah. So the match will be a little bit longer. This is like the old GSL system that we had, if you look at the individual team match.
Exactly, you're so right. This is not a double elimination for all you can see on the screen there. It's just single elimination. Everyone is trying to get to that finals against MVP. You can see on Fridays we have 6 p.m. On Saturday tomorrow we will have 8 p.m. So 2 hours later than today and 7 hours later than most Saturdays, and then 6 p.m. again on the following Friday.
Definitely make sure that you tell your friends about it, that tomorrow the GSTL is going to start a little bit later at 8 p.m. So that's very, very important. We are a little bit of a different schedule here. And we have a bit of a coach interview right here at the beginning. So talking a bit about to the coaches of StarTale, and of course also AZUBU, what they have to say about the game today. AZUBU coach first.
Always a smiler.
Yeah, let's see what he has to say. In the regular season, they won the match against StarTale with a 4-1.
So even though you guys are a new team, you were able to make it to the playoffs in 4th place. He says he believed in his team to make it to the playoffs at the start of the season.
They ended up being 4th in the ranking.
Yep. And now that we're in the playoffs, we want to advance even further.
Well, if the match in the regular season is any indicator, they have good chances to make that happen.
He said he's more concerned about tomorrow than today because he knows he's going to win today and advance to the next round. Very bold words here.
Yeah, very bold words, and he will have to back that up with his team. So let's see if they can beat StarTale again.
Yeah, not a lot of preparation time going into today and tomorrow. There's only a day in between.
So the last time, he's talking a little bit about Bung Bung, and that Bung Bung won a lot of matches when he came out last for the team, and that's why he's not really worried about it, and he feels that they are going to take the games today.
Yeah, he said that he expects Bung Bung to take at least a couple sets.
Bung Bung is the starting player today for AZUBU, in case you don't know yet. So he just predicted a 5-2-3 win today.
Exactly, 5-3. So not too overconfident, but he feels they will take the win. A fairly conservative prediction, I guess. And he said he's not really thinking big about an all-killer or anything like that. He just wants to take the matches one by one.
He wants to have the revenge match against LGIM tomorrow because they lost to LGIM the last time. That was, of course, back in the regular season, and he really wants to go up against them again to make sure that they can get that revenge victory. But let's see if they can actually just defeat StarTale today. That's also a very difficult team to face. StarTale in the last season had a couple of matches where it didn't look too strong, where they just fell off a bit. One against Axum Acer, just to name one of them, and of course also when they lost like pretty hard against AZUBU. But today with players like Bomber performing really well, and Hack in the last GSTL match doing a really good job, StarTale is definitely a very fierce opponent to face.
Yep. Now here's the StarTale coach himself. See what he has to say going into this match and see if he has any responses, of course, to what the AZUBU coach has already said. You won against LGIM, you made it to the playoffs. How do you feel?
So he was really nervous in the last match, and he's very thankful for his players that they won the match, even though they went all the way to the final game. So he was really happy when they were able to just get that ticket for the playoffs. AZUBU, on the other hand, they dropped out because StarTale won. So he's talking a little bit about how they were winning the first two matches in the GSTL, but in the following rounds they didn't perform all that well, they lost. So he thinks that towards the end they performed a little bit better, and they are trying to just carry the momentum now into the playoffs and here into the first game today.
Yeah, it's kind of a strong start, weak medium, and a strong finish. And like you said, he's saying he wants to ride the momentum here into the playoffs. He thinks it's going to be a one-sided match today, and he thinks they're going to win it, of course. I hope so. He says only 3 players or less will play today, he expects.
So he's just talking to the fans and says that he knows that everyone is a little bit disappointed about their performance so far in the season, and that they promise to do their best now in the playoffs, and that they want to go all the way to the finals to just prove themselves to the fans.
Yeah. A lot of respect for the fans here.
Not quite sure what he got asked there.
Yeah, I missed that one.
Seemed a little bit of loss of words.
Yeah. We are going to get this started here pretty quickly.
Yeah, we definitely are. I talked a little bit to Violet actually earlier, and these days the weather in Seoul is so bad. Today it has been raining the entire time. There were a couple of thunderstorms as well. So yeah, the weather these days is just like horrible, and every time you look out of the window you actually think, okay, it's raining, so at least it's going to be a little bit colder, and then you go outside and it is just so humid and warm, and it's like, ugh.
I do like to listen to the rain, but only when I'm not going outside. The second I want to go outside to get food or something, it's bad. You want to order McDonald's or something into your house too, it's going to take a while because there's so many people ordering in since it's raining. It's just a tough place to be in Seoul right now.
Yeah, it was actually awesome when we had a thunderstorm just a couple of days ago. I woke up to that, and that was really nice. I enjoyed it quite a lot. Back in Europe, there was always the best time in the evening, a good thunderstorm, a lot of rain, and then cold beer. Perfect. Yeah, perfect weather for a nice summer evening. But let's talk a little bit about StarCraft and about the two teams that we see today. As you can already see on your screen, we have both of them with a couple of players in the Premier League and also, of course, in the Challenger League. And with the race distribution, both teams have a really well-rounded roster.
Yeah, really, really well-rounded. So many players on both teams as well in total. So there's a lot of sniper potential. We've already seen all of StarTale's potential, not only in the individual league, but in GSTL. For me, I'm wondering if AZUBU will pull out some snipers like Inca that we've never really seen before, or will we see Top, or maybe even a player like San coming out for a snipe.
Yeah, exactly. I mentioned earlier the change from the best of 7 to the best of 9 format, and it seems like a small thing. It's like, yeah, well, you have to win one more game, but it's actually so much more, because suddenly the depth of your team really comes into play, and it's a completely different ballgame since you can prepare much more. You can train more snipers, and you have more maps that you have to prepare for as well. So it's very different when you talk about a tactical view onto the team match. So we are gonna find out a lot of these things today. And the last time the coach surprised a little bit from StarTale. He put Hack out, and Hack rewarded the trust.
Yeah, definitely
those games.
That was some really, really, really good play there, and you could see the StarTale coach really knows how to rely on those players that even we don't expect. And some odd choices really coming through for his team, getting him here into this playoff.
And the funny thing is that in their most important team match so far, the last one that we casted from StarTale, Life didn't come out. He seems to be in a pretty uncomfortable spot these days, and he was actually the only player that was able to get a win against the team that we see on screen right now in their regular season match. So AZUBU here with a lot of strong players, Gandhi, Supernova yesterday losing at the Premier League against Maru. AZUBU, of course, on the other hand, he was successful, and he just continues to keep winning games.
Yeah, really, really strong player. Definitely, probably the player they would rely on if it comes down to the final match. There's Supernova. You can see such a good line of players, including Sleep. Violet and Symbol. Zerg's hitting in the corner. And there's Boom Boom, our starting player. So there's the 4 Zergs in a row.
Starting player today, and let's see what Boom Boom can do. He's definitely a strong opponent. And he is up in his first match against Curious, though. One of the Zerg players that we have on the roster for StarTale. Live, of course, to mention the second strong, heavy Zerg hitter here. Then we have Bomber and Sound, as well as Hack and Aphrodite for the Terran side.
Yep. Don't forget about the Protoss's Avenge and Panic with them listed there on the right side. Avenge definitely someone you can rely on as a sniper against a Terran player. I don't know if he could take out somebody like Bomber, but maybe, just maybe he takes out someone like Bomber or Hack if they need him to.
Everyone is ready here. And I am as well. I want to see Bomber today, I want to see Alive, I want to see Hack again. This is going to be a really good match. The playoffs in general are just going to show a lot of great StarCraft. The thing that we had in the regular season, that with Prime and Anasosa, we had 2 very weak players, very weak teams that got all killed quite often. Live doesn't seem too happy these days. It's not his usual self.
Yeah, he did do really well yesterday in the Challenger League on the other hand.
Yeah, he did. Got an easy 2-0 victory there.
That may motivate him a little bit today if he is going to be the one of the players we see. We didn't see him last time, but I think we could definitely see him this time.
Yeah, I actually think so. He probably prepared really well for the matches right now. But, well, the games are going to start very soon. Our opening match is going to be a Zerg versus Zerg. Curious is the starting player for Team StarTale, and we have, as mentioned before, Boom Boom for AZUBU. So, to really that guy just doesn't know where he wants to go.
Yeah. Violet having his Razor jacket on, always looking very, very. He's got more swag than swagger here.
Bomber coming out last, and the guy in the door frame actually like, ooh, I'm going camera. Hi, mom. All the AZUBU coach.
He's not smiling. He's very serious. It's the most serious I think I've ever seen him.
I mean, actually, shots fired right at the beginning. He's like, well, I don't care about StarTale. I want to take down LGIM tomorrow. Yeah. And if he really wants to achieve that, he has to win against StarTale first, though. That's the life that we know. Yawning as usual, and there's the smile. Okay, I'm
the smile.
Completely happy right now. So that's good.
Everything goes back to normal here.
I was concerned for a second.
I wonder if we'll see Sound today. You know, with such a big depth of players and with the best 9, I wouldn't be surprised.
You know, with the performance that we've seen by him in the beginning of the season, I actually think that he would be a sound choice to send out today.
Absolutely. I like the sound of that. So, there's Ganji over there on the right side. Someone we could definitely see for AZUBU.
Yeah, we actually haven't seen him in the last team matches.
Yeah.
So it looks like, I don't know what exactly is going on with him, but so far in Team League he didn't come out just yet. Huddle time for AZUBU. There's Symbol, of course. Probably their best player that they have these days.
Yep.
I don't think anyone is going to argue that.
No one would dispute that. And coaches bound to each other. We got a referee, former TSL coach. And it's time to get started, man. This is what we've all been waiting for. It's all coming down to this moment, the playoffs. Everything they've done in the preseason, you know, to get started for the pennant race itself, getting gear, working hard, very close call for StarTale. AZUBU, on the other hand, also, you know, not the easiest run for them either.
Yeah, and for both teams, I would expect that they prepared a lot of players in case that their first player loses. So I'm really interested to see who exactly comes out, no matter who wins game number 1, because that is usually the best player that you have to take out the starting player of your opponent's team, since he can prepare specifically for an opponent. So a lot of snipers probably trained today. StarTale and AZUBU are not really the teams where you talk about them producing great snipers. That's usually something when we talk about MVP.
Yeah.
They do that really well. But I feel that for this particular playoff match, both of them prepared a lot, especially since StarTale had such a hard time getting into the playoffs in the first place. They probably practiced a lot to make sure that they will go a long way here.
Exactly. You know, both teams saying that they really want to take their momentum going forward here. The StarTale coach really talking about that specifically. The AZUBU coach, on the other hand, really wants revenge. He's very confident going into this match. But, you know, he's not blinded by his confidence, I'm sure, because he's playing against such a difficult team to defeat.
Yeah, and that is actually exactly what we thought the last time, and then suddenly it's only Live who can win a single map against AZUBU, and the AZUBU team takes it with a 4-1. So I feel that StarTale also wants a little bit of revenge here. I mean, they were not too happy about their loss at all. It was not only that they lost against AZUBU, but it was just the score itself that was very disappointing, especially for StarTale fans, a lot of them watching right now. So the coach already said earlier that they really want to perform as well as they can to make it up to the fans once again after the season was a little bit disappointing.
Yeah, that's definitely going to be true. Definitely not a big big factor for the StarTale. Coach didn't really mention it in the interview that he wanted to get revenge or anything like that. So for him, I guess he's just focusing on, like you said, one step at a time, going for the victory there.
They really have to make that happen somehow, and the biggest weakness is once again their Protoss lineup. They kind of only have Avenge there. We saw Panic once this season, but the issue still is that Avenge seems to be the only one who in the individual league can also shine, and already brought them a couple of wins in the team league. So I feel that it has to be Avenge today, and that might be the only Protoss player that we're going to see for the team.
Yeah. Well, here's Boom Boom, otherwise known as B4 because he capitalizes all the B's in his name. And his GSTL run rate is positive. He's played a lot. And his best position statistically in GSTL is coming out first at 7 and 4. And that's what he's doing today, leading the charge.
Really interesting keycap colors, by the way. They're gray and blue. Never seen that before, to be honest.
And it looks like there's two different colors of blue. One is a little bit lighter than the other one.
Yeah.
It could just be the lighting, but I think like he's got kind of a teal and then a darker blue. Like bird's egg blue, or robin's egg, or whatever that blue color is. There's so many different ways to describe it.
Boom Boom, of course, a former Prime player, and when he left the Prime team, they kind of lost their Zerg lineup, and he was one of the most successful players that they had, especially in the team league. But now we have the opponent for the AZUBU starting play. It is, of course, Curious for Team StarTale. He is currently in the Premier League.
Yeah,
he is still listed as being a Premier League player here.
That's true. He's got a good win ratio in the GSTL, and he's also played a lot of matches, 34 in total. This includes Wings of Liberty stats, don't forget. And his best positions, historically speaking, in the GSTL has been coming out second at 7 and 3.
He's definitely a strong player, and he's also pretty decent in ZVZ. So we kind of have to figure out, I guess at this point, Bungo has to figure out how to take him out. The player that definitely gets a little bit more exposure these days is Curious because of his success in the individual league. But can he make that happen today? The last time that they faced each other, also Curious struggled a little bit. He lost the last match. He was actually the last player that was sent out by StarTale, and he had to face Sun on DMZ, and Sun took the match. So Curious against AZUBU this season, a little bit disappointing. And here, I guess, will want to make up for that.
Yeah.
Whirlwind being the first map, so this also explains right off the bat why we have the Zerg versus Zerg here.
Yeah. And Curious is really ready to go. He's said in chat several times, go, 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 go. He is not waiting. He wants to get this going right away.
If you think about it, like with Whirlwind already gone, Zerg players later on will not have this big map that they usually try to get out to take down a strong opponent, either Terran or Protoss. So that's also very interesting, just noting that right here at the beginning, going into this team match. But we're starting the game now. We're going into our first match, the ZVZ between Curious and Boom Boom on Whirlwind at the GSTL 2013. The match between AZUBU and StarTale here, the first playoff match. And apparently we're loading a little bit longer.
A little bit longer.
We're close.
Get ready.
We're close.
All right, it's done.
Looks good. And let's go into the game, guys. GSTL Playoffs 2013 Season 1. Howlin' Wolf. Starting to the top right for Team AZUBU, we have the former Prime player. It is
AZUBU Boom Boom,
the man with the farting noises.
Yep.
He's cross-positioned to his opponent. Starting to the bottom left, we have the StarTale starting player. It is
StarTale, Curious.
With these starting positions, we'll probably see very standard play.
Yeah. And once again, just to mention that for all the people that tuned in a little bit later, we are in the playoffs now. This means that we have a best-of-9 system, not a best-of-7 system anymore. The regular season was all about the best-of-7, and now in the playoffs, every single match will be a best-of-9. So you have to prepare a lot more players. You have a bit of a bigger map pool that you have to prepare for.
Two new maps, yeah.
Exactly. So a lot of strategy goes into this now. You can prepare a lot more snipers for this, and that is something that you always have to keep in mind when we go into the day's matches.
Exactly, and teams that have smaller lineups, are really hurt by this. But we don't really have any teams like that making it to the playoffs, so shouldn't really see that impact the play. But had we had a team like Prime, for example, go in, which only has really 4 players they rely on, they would have had a problem with their 5th player being missing.
No surprises with the build order here, by the way. Both of them are going straight into the hatch first play that we now see. And we have a bit of a win ratio versus the opponent's team, so this is of course including all the games that they've played in the past, not only relying on the Heart of the Swarm statistics.
Yeah. And we do have both players now going into the pool after the slightly delayed hatch, or not a slightly delayed hatch, the fastest possible hatch. A delayed pool after that hatchery.
Yeah.
No gases taken just yet.
So this is definitely going to be a little bit of a longer game, at least from the looks of it. Right now you have, of course, a couple of choices where you could rely on circling speed and then an attack early on in the game. But on a map like this, we usually see Baneling Nests coming out for both players, and that can shut Speedling aggression out very, very early in the match. But let's talk a little bit about the statistics that we have for both players in the mirror matchup. If you look at the statistics for BenQ offline in Heart of the Swarm, he played 9 maps so far and he won 5 of them, so he has a 56% win ratio. Doesn't really make him the Zerg versus Zerg sniper, but he still has a positive win ratio here. So BenQ, traditionally actually a player that, especially in Wings of Liberty, was quite good against Zerg. He was one of the first players who was able to take down Nest in a ZVZ after Nest established his name as being like the Zerg, the ZVZ master, who nobody could get past.
And nobody was beating him.
Yeah, up to the point where BenQ suddenly emerged in the best of 3 and took Nest down with the 2-0 and made it look easy at that. But Curious, on the other hand, he also played a couple of games so far in Heart of the Swarm against Zerg, focusing on the offline matches, of course, once again. We have him with 14 games in total, so a few more. He has a 50% win ratio, and he lost his last 2 matches. He actually lost to Symbol, and he also lost to Ragnarok. So both of them roughly at the 50% win ratio mark here in this matchup. So if you look at the statistics, they're definitely evenly matched here, and it's going to be probably a very tense game that we're going to see.
Yeah. Absolutely so. A bit of an incorrect scout from Curious with his Lings to the top left. Was hoping to get something done there, get some scouting information, but it's not to be so. Now going to go around and check the correct location, as his Overlord already saw the bottom right is not where he spawned.
The double queen is now out for both players. This is of course the one thing that always lines up perfectly well if you can go into a hatch first. When you start the pool afterwards, you can start both queens as soon as the pool and the hatch will basically finish at roughly the same time, so you can start the double queen and have it out there on the map. You already see that Curious is starting to be a little bit more defensive than his opponent. He's going into the Spine Crawler at the front. As I mentioned before, Baneling Nests are something that most players will get on this map just because there is such a huge ramp to defend.
Yeah.
But going straight into roaches is most of the time not the best option. Nice kill here, really good snipe by Curious, seeing this Overlord and giving the high ground vision with his own, and then taking down the first Overlord for BenQ. That seems very insignificant at first, but in the early game it can actually screw up your entire build order.
Exactly, 100 minerals lost there also affects his vision and his production. Both players doing identical builds otherwise here, adding both the evolution chambers, so we're going to see Roach Hydra play, at least initially from these two, and they're taking their gases very late. They both have them up now. You can see that BenQ took his much faster, as he's now nearing 300 gas.
Roach1 already coming onto the production tab for Curious. When we started with with Heart of the Swarm, we had actually like Muralist matches most of the time, and sometimes players would go into the 1-1 upgraded Zerglings. That was a very good strategy that you could use. But then when Blizzard decided to nerf the Muralist a little bit by emphasizing the damage that Spore Crawlers deal to bio units, and suddenly players started to shift more in that old school style. But we have a bit of a change here. BenQ is actually not going for the Roachborn a little bit later here, but he is the one who gets all his upgrades first, and then also the lair tag. So with the upgrades, he will be a lot faster, and he's skipping speed here, and that's why he is able to get those upgrades faster.
Yeah, one thing that's true about what Curious is doing is that he's taking the faster third hatchery, but his upgrades are very late. He's also going to send 18 Lings, even 20 Lings out here to try to deny his opponent's third base at the same time.
And this kind of sets already the pace of the game. We will see one player trying to be a little bit more defensive. Ooh, actually, BenQ is going to lose another Overlord. Those queens are very aggressive on the map here. And with the added Zerglings that he just started to build, he can actually protect them in case that BenQ sends out his own Lings to take the queens down.
He sees the hatchery with his Overlord. It does die to bring in this information. But it's a hero, you know, many bottoms did this, and, you know, the Lings here are going to actually go out, and they should be able to force a cancel on this hatchery. He's waiting, he's trying to hide them for a really long time, and I like this. Now he goes, he sends them out. He could also snipe some queens at the front of the map as well, but I think he'll go straight for the hatchery first.
Well, here comes the vision, and the Lings are already on the way. He has to know that they are aiming straight for the third base, and the Roach is immediately trying to rally up there. but there are so many Zerglings, they should be able to force a cancel. There is no possibility to transfuse it just yet, and there's the cancel, and this suddenly gives Curious a bit of an edge, because he will have his third base earlier.
Yeah, very true. His upgrades are a little bit behind, but he's going to have the expansion up first. Man, that was a really good trade for him. Cost him a lot of larva to do this, but it's worth it in the end. He starts his infestation pit a little bit faster.
And now one of these problems, or one of the problems that Curious might have later, is that Boom Boom could actually hit timings with his upgrades, but he is not starting +2/+2 right away. Well, there's at least the attack upgrade, and there's armor, okay. Just losing a few seconds here, that's fine.
Yeah.
Because you want to maintain that upgrade lead. Once that Boom Boom identifies that he has that, he might decide to hit a timing here. But for now, of course, he wants to get his own third base up. And Curious, as mentioned before, he already has a lead. Just the upgrades, that's where he has to be a bit careful.
Yeah, very, very careful about that. He needs to make sure he continues to hit those. And with the Infestation Pit, we could see Swarm Host come out. What's your feel on that? Do you think he's just going to get some Infestors a little bit earlier before Hydras?
Definitely Infestors. He's not going... I cannot see him going to Swarm Host here. The Infestors are already being built. That's usually not something that you really try to do in Zerg versus Zerg, especially when you're up against a very mobile army. It's always very dangerous. And on a big map like this, if you have the Swarm Host in the middle of the map, you need something to defend them. So they're not the fastest unit. The only thing that I could see with Swarm Host, if you try to hit a timing and you go for a Nidus network, but on a big map like this, yeah, Swarm Host, I feel not really the right choice. You have just too many ways where you can go past the Locust and try to hit when they're still on the way. So Infestors here, the choice for him. Playing it a little bit old school like we had in Rings of Liberty.
Yeah. Good Zergling Scout here. Doesn't see a ton, but he will see the hatchery again that's completely saturated, and also the roach count.
One of the things I want to point out, though, is that he got 3 Infestors before he went into Pathogen Glands. And this is also because he knew already that his opponent had one-on-one upgrades, and he also knew that he took down that third base. So he was like, well, I want to get my Infestors. I would like them to spawn with the Pathogen Glands energy, but you might be tempted to attack me right now because you know very well that you are falling a little bit behind in economy. So let's get those Infestors out a little bit faster, and then I might be able to use them in case that you attack.
Yeah. Zerglings are not really useful in this matchup as the game goes longer, so he was trying to just get these in to do some damage, to get rid of them, free up the supply to make more attacking units, but unfortunately for him, he didn't really get anything done. But it still frees up the supply. And here comes that attack you were talking about. And he will hit this with 2-2. This is a really nice timing here.
Yeah, that's exactly the timing that he was trying to hit. And here come the Infestors into play. He needs to make sure that he pins down those roaches down. In terms of supply, we have Boom Boom in a little bit of a lead. That will further add to his advantage that he has. He's waiting for the +2/+2. He also has the Burrow upgrade. That's something that Curious just now doesn't have. And he is behind in the roach count.
Yeah, he needs to get a concave set up here. Nicely done. He has the concave at the ramp. But it looks like this is just going to be a fake. He runs it now with the main army and gets a good position here. Yeah, Fungal hits only 4 roaches.
Yeah, but still, so far a good job at zoning by Curious, but now Boom Boom decides that it's time to engage. Another Fungal hits home, and this is the time when Curious really has to make this defense work. His +2 attack upgrade is not done just yet. The Fungals are really good, but he needs to get more roaches out there.
He needs to get more roaches out. It looks like Boom Boom is actually pushing through a little bit here.
Well, Boom Boom is making those upgrades work, but he doesn't have the numbers at the front, and with all the Infestors, another Fungal could really pin those units down. He's trying to make that Burrow work, but we already have Overseers in the air to scout those units, and Boom Boom is being forced back. He's dropping in supply, and it looks like Curious is held for now.
Yep, a few roaches going to run into the natural. Curious has held that Defender's Advantage really working for him, and also that one key Fungal. A few of the Fungals he got earlier only hit some roaches, but even that helps a little bit. And now he's making more Infestors, trying to get Hydras out, but these roaches in the main base are a little bit annoying. There's also some at his third right now.
Yeah, nice Queen snipes here by Boom Boom, but immediately the 2 Queens are being rebuilt, and they got a quick check before they were taken out. We have also Hydralists already in the army for Curious, whereas Boom Boom is just now adding the Hydra Den. The +2 has been completed for Curious, the attack upgrade. He's going into armor now, but Curious is now in a really good position.
Yeah, he
30
really
supply lead. He has the tech out there. He's already going into the range upgrade. Sorry, that's actually Boom Boom. Curious might already have that range upgrade. I don't think he started it just yet.
No, he does not have it
yet. He doesn't have it yet because he was attacked right when his Hydra Den was finishing up. But he's in a really decent spot here.
The only thing he's missing is the +2 Carapace, which he's building right now. Yeah. It's going to take him some time, but he should be able to defend any aggression that comes. This is a sneaky move here, but he is spotted. He should target the Infestors. Nice.
Nice, gets one of them. But yeah, the Infestors are actually the biggest asset of Curious. And Boom Boom is in a bit of trouble because of that. It's not only the supply advantage that Curious suddenly has, but it's really the army composition that is giving Boom Boom a lot of trouble. Boom Boom is trying to get a 4th base. He has to take a lead somehow. He has to do something, and the 4th base is the only thing that he cannot come up with right now. But this army is moving in, and with the numbers that Curious has, I'm a little bit afraid for Boom Boom here. That doesn't look good.
He has more roaches. They are both even in the Hydralisk count. This engagement, though, a better position for the AZUBU player, Boom Boom, but he's getting fungled here, and there's way too much DPS.
The fungal great against the Hydralisks already, pinning this army down as well. A couple of volleyballs are entering the game. The Infested Terran, Swarmax, or whatever they are called, are moving in, and this just doesn't look good anymore for Boom Boom. He's already down 50 supply.
Curious is trading really, really nicely here, and it looks like Boom Boom may not even survive the next wave of reinforcements.
I don't think that he will be able to survive here. That's just too much. And you can see that the Overlords are also exposed. He has control of the ramp. There are still 2 Infestors. He's rallying units across the map. He's just losing way too much right now.
Way too much indeed. 50 supply lead here for Curious, and the rest of his reinforcements are about to arrive. He's going to have +2 Carapace very soon too.
Yeah, Boom Boom, that was the only advantage that he had, this extra armor upgrade, but it just is not enough to make up for the discrepancy that we have in numbers here. And now with the armor upgrade finishing for Curious, there is just nothing that goes for Boom Boom anymore.
He can even kill these Overlords.
Yeah, he can kill whatever he wants right now. He has free reign at the natural. Yep. This is going to be it, guys. This is just the cleaning job that we have here for Curious. He is at 160 supply against 80 at this point, and that's the GG. As StarTale takes game number 1 in the first playoff match that we have.
Just taking that economy lead and running with it, that hold, and those Infestors that you talked about that he made before Pathogen Glands, those were the most important part of his hold, and that's really what it came down to. Good positioning as well, good micro, good zoning, but those fungals, that one fungal especially that hit 8 or 9 roaches, that really changed the tide of battle.
It helps you a lot with the defense. You of course have the defender's advantage, which means that the roaches that you build will pop out right at the battle, whereas your opponent has to rally them across the map. But there's Curious, really happy about the win. StarTale gets the lead here.
Yeah, they get the lead and get that momentum going for them, but this is a best of 9. So the first game, it is very important, but it's not as important as it would be in a best of 7, just simply because you get that first map on your hand, but you have a lot more maps to go on. And the plan B, we've talked about this a lot, the second player you can send out when you know the map that you've got picked, you know your opponent is going to be the best map pick that you have.
So just explaining this once again, the players actually, the teams know the map before they choose their players. Then they choose the players, and the players are revealed a couple of days before the match starts. So the first 2 players can prepare special builds against each other. But then if you already know that if your player loses, you know who the player on the opposing team is. So you can prepare a sniper just for that case. And that's what we call Plan B, and this is exactly what AZUBU has to show us right now.
Exactly. And who's it going to be? That's the question.
I don't think that we're going to see another Zerg player. They have a lot of Zergs on the roster, but still, I don't think that we are really going to see another ZVZ here. So I don't know. Who do you think they're going to send out?
Could be Ganji or Supernova. I think a Terran, maybe, on a good Terran map. Just send one of those out, maybe like on Akalon.
They have a couple of Protoss players that they could also send out. The last time San was really successful for them. We have, of course, Genius also here in the studio. So they definitely have the depth in the lineup that they could use to take down Curious right now. But Curious is a heavy hitter. He's one of the best players that we have on the StarTale roster. And you need to make sure that this guy doesn't get too much momentum.
Exactly.
Already 1 win under his belt, and if he takes a second one, then things start to get a little bit iffy.
Yeah. For me, I don't like the idea of sending a Protoss out against Curious. He just seems so strong against Protosses, especially in the late game. He's really, really good when it comes to that. And, if you're thinking about that as the coach, you could send a Protoss out if he's really, really feeling good in the matchup, but I think it has to be a Terran right now.
A strong Terran player would definitely be a good choice to send out now. Yeah. And, well, we're going to find out in just a few seconds. The AZUBU bench is ready, and who is player number 2?
On the edge, there's
Genius.
Oh,
it is a Protoss.
They're going to send out Genius here. Stargate-oriented Protoss in this matchup. Maybe, maybe see some late-game Stargate play out of him.
Curious is actually not that great in Heart of the Swarm. You were talking earlier about how he's usually a very good player against Protoss, and that was definitely true for Wings of Liberty. That was just so epic matches where he showed so much patience, but in Heart of the Swarm, he's not really on that level just yet. If you look at his map score, he only has a 45% win ratio, and therefore maybe Genius really here the best option that they have. But of course, before we head into this match, we are having a 10-minute break, guys. There's going to be another quick show on the Korean stream. Therefore, the break is a little bit longer than usual, so get yourself something to drink or something to eat. If you're sitting in front of your computer right now, we'll be back in 10 minutes with the match between Curious and Genius here at the GSTL Playoffs. StarTale versus AZUBU.